Friday.
It's Friday. We're a little tired.
Friday. Yes.
It's Leanne Scott.
Dale Fear.
Dale Fear. From Move Therapies in Osoyoos, British Columbia, Canada. And we're deciding to do a quick live on the way out the door at the end of the week in regards to how this therapy has changed my life in particular. And, of course,
My
Dale's.
life more like.
A little bit Dale's life. If I'm better, he's a little better.
So tell me, Leanne, how did this change your life?
Yeah, so I initially had a really terrible injury, so I'll quickly tell you about it so it'll give you a bit of perspective. So when I was 18, I hurt myself very badly. The physician, the surgeon at the time told me to explain it this way. I tore the quadricep muscle, the quadricep muscle in the thigh that attaches, it attaches onto the pelvis, but it goes through tendons and ligaments. And there's a sort of a ligament sheath, a tendon sheath, pardon me, that attaches the muscle to the pelvis. And I apparently tore that whole tendon sheath and then thus the muscle away from my pelvis. From sort of belly button to, he said belly button to spine is what he said on the right side. So, terrible injury, obvious, huge pain accompanied that, a lot of internal bleeding, lots of numbness, and lots of burning. Burning was a biggie, and that's apparently a big significant symptom of bad tears. So I was in the hospital for about 9 and a half months, which is a very long time to be in the hospital. Being put back together again. I was in a wheelchair for those 9 months, and then previous months before, and then afterwards. So about a year and so in a wheelchair. And I was also, during the hospital stay, when the initial tear happened, I lost all feeling to the right side of my leg from my waist down because there was no more connection. So I was essentially paralyzed. Even though I hadn't done anything to my spinal column, I had the same symptoms as a paralyzation on my right side from my waist down. So not good. And I was heading towards a professional dance career, so I was very movement-based. Obviously, being paralyzed in a wheelchair, it sort of doesn't do so good for a dance career. It was my year of my grade 12, so I basically spent my entire grade 12, last year of high school, in the hospital. So, had surgery, and it was a brilliant surgery. The surgery never had done before. The doctor made it up as he went along. It's written down in all the medical journals. And he put it back on in the best way he knew how, with as much sort of prosthetic material or at least prosthetic material as he could, but, had to make up a lot, especially the tendon sheath. And I started walking again. Needless to say, I didn't probably do that great, and it was a long time ago, so there wasn't a ton of different therapies available to sort of reteach me how to walk and do all that. So we did our best, and life moved on. I had intermittent pain throughout my 20s and my early 30s, and I was also very limited. I don't think I remembered about this. I don't think I remembered about this much. I had pain, but I probably would have had more had I just done more. I monitored myself extremely in terms of, no, I won't go biking, or no, I won't go up and walk that hill.
The doctor told you not to.
And the doctor said, dude, don't ever do that. Like, don't ever ski again. Don't ever ride a bicycle again. Don't ever, when you give birth, I'd rather you hold off for like 5, 6, 10 years before, because I don't know what is going to happen if you dilate. And I was very scared all the time of re-injuring myself, obviously. So, life continues, and I meet Dale, my hubby, and we don't decide. We get pregnant.
Decided.
We did decide, because I was chick-talk. Anyway, we decided, I got pregnant, and...
We got pregnant.
Oh, sorry. We did. Yeah. Anyway, we got pregnant. He had great symptoms. I had not so much. Anyway, got pregnant again, and was a little concerned about my hip, but it was fine, and gave birth to a beautiful little boy named Callum, and who happened to, in the end, have special needs. So, long story, we found what we feel was the best therapy after many, many different trials and tribulations of different therapies. What was the best therapy for him? Worked out great. It's called the Anat Baniel Method, or ABM. That's the type of practitioners we are.
We're both practitioners of that.
I'm jumping ahead because basically we found this therapy for him, and then we realized it's so good we need to become practitioners. We need to go to we need to go to school, learn it, and become practitioners for ourselves. And one of the key things about school, sorry, sweetie.
I was going to say, we decided to go down that path mainly because we knew our son was going to need it for some
life.
time. So we weren't really expecting that any outcomes from.
Oh, it had not. I didn't even cross my mind that it would help me in any way, shape, or form. Anyway, it was all about Callum. Took the training, went to school, took the training. I did it first, and needless to say, the long and short of it is, it has changed my life, and it has changed the trajectory of my life. It has changed the pain levels of my day-to-day. It to nothing. It's changed my mobility. I've actually, I'll get into it in a little more detail, but everything has changed. And like I said, when I went into it, I didn't go into it for me at all. So the outcome of the whole thing is I realized it was about 6 months into the training, you said to me that you noticed that I hadn't been complaining that much.
It was, I knew that of the injury. But again, at that time, I didn't realize how important the pelvis and pretty much all movement comes from your hips.
And your pelvis.
So when you have an injury in that area, it has obviously significant impacts.
Long-term significant impacts.
Yeah, she wasn't sleeping. I had to have like certain pillows and had to have the right configuration, and then having a small child, and getting sleep and such was always a problem.
And the fact that he was special needs, we were carrying him. So, we had a whole bunch of things piled against us, and I was getting worse. Hit about 40, and I was starting to get worse. And so we took the training for Callum, and we just sort of put me aside. But we always knew in the back of my head, like in the back of our heads, that Leanne's not doing so well, and yeah. So about 6 months into the training, I will remember this to the day I die. You turned to me and you said, I don't want to say it because I don't want to, jinx it. But you haven't said anything about pain since you started school. And I was like, it's true. Because at that point, before I started school, I was complaining probably every day. Burning,
it was probably,
numbness, tingling, pain, a lot of
7
ache.
out of 10 or a 10,
Yeah.
8 out of 10.
Yeah,
9 out of 10.
very, very high and not good for an everyday person. 40 years old, mobility was decreasing, and I couldn't. I had a special needs child. So the long, still long, these stories are never short. We've since know that I have, due to CAT scans, MRIs, etc., that I am riddled, apparently, is the last diagnosis, riddled with osteoarthritis in my pelvis. I have tons of scar tissue. It's a disaster in my pelvis. But I have no symptoms of anything, of even having an injury in my hip. I certainly do not have the symptoms of osteoarthritis, and I have better mobility today at 51 than I did at 40 before the training. And I would even go so far as to say 30, 20, and even possibly before my injury when I was a professional dancer. And that's saying a lot. We all talk about in our lives, well, it's downhill from here. Look at the time, 59, 65, whatever, 75, whatever someone wants to think. There's nothing that can be done. It's only going to get worse. It is simply not true. I wouldn't have believed it either. I was
wouldn't have having minor issues at that time, but then I saw this transformation or saw this change.
Literal transformation.
Basically, from someone being in major pain on a daily basis, and then doing some kind of movements and taking some training, and then all of a sudden that has gone away, and now they're moving better. We got stopped, I think, like in the parking lot the other day because Leanne ran out to the van just to get her keys out of the car. and like 3 people stopped her to say how well she runs.
It's
and
bizarre how many people. Hi, by the
Leanne-
way, to everybody that's joining.
Yeah, Leanne doesn't. We're not runners. We don't
No.
practice running. This is not our thing. But when people move well,
And move easily.
it's noticeable, and
Yeah.
so it doesn't. We all see it when we see someone that they're not struggling to move and such. So
Little ones, watch them move. They move really easy. Everything's easy. And that's what's sort of changed with me is it doesn't hurt, so I don't have to monitor myself. I am able to do more because it doesn't really hurt. Nothing hurts, so I try more and more and more things. I'm absolutely cognizant of the fact that I still have an injury, but I don't, it doesn't run my life in any way, shape, or form. In fact, it's the exact opposite. I feel like my life is completely in my hands. And I feel like I have some tools. So if anything did happen, like if I did start getting pain or something, I've learned a lot, which is what you will learn too if you start doing sessions with ABM practitioners. It's a learning modality, so you learn some things to help yourself along.
yeah, it was definitely a transition from Leanne was in pain in her 40s to not being in her pain and the pain sort of disappearing. Then her movement alongside that was improving, and I'm doing things, Leanne's doing things more. I know myself, I'm doing things that I couldn't do. I don't have that injury.
Yeah,
We'll talk about that later, but we're doing more things as we're getting older, not less things.
Yeah, and that's huge. Like you don't hear people say out loud, "Oh, I'm doing more. I'm rolling backwards now. I have no pain. I have no numbness. As they age." And that's something that I have absolutely seen with the Anat Baniel Method, 100%. And so that is the therapy that we practice here at Move Therapies. We should probably loop it back. You can get this therapy too. It's fabulous for all sorts of things, and that's another video. But if you have chronic pain, numbness, burning,
post-surgery,
pre-surgery, neurological issues, there's a gamut, but we'll just stay with those for today's video because that was about what I had. I had all of the above, with the exception, I did not have neurological issues and how people will probably presume. This is the therapy to go to. I say it because it has literally changed the trajectory of my life, and because of that, my husband's life, and more importantly, because of that, our son's life. Our son will be able to be cared for by us longer than if we wouldn't have done this, learned this therapy and become practitioners. So, so Move Therapies is, if you have any questions about the therapy, reach out, drop me an email. It's Leanne. I'll put it in the thing, but because this is live, it's LEANNE at Move Therapies. And therapies is plural, PIES, movetherapies.com. I have no problem talking to you about it, and Dale can talk to you about it as well. We can tell you where there's practitioners in your area. We can talk about having you come here for an intensive for a week or so and getting some lessons. It's a lovely little place to visit, Soyuz.
And there's 2 of us here.
Yes, and there's 2 practitioners, which is a very big deal. 2 different people, 2 different sets of hands, 2 different brains, 2 different thoughts, and it's a team. It's a great sort of a way of working together. We can bounce ideas off each other. 2 people can work on you. Visit the website because there's tons of very practical information, frequently asked questions, et cetera, et cetera. It'll give you more. This was more just to spew about what this therapy has done for us. And we couldn't be more thankful, and we couldn't be happier we found it. I've often said, and this will be a good one to wrap up with, I've often said, and I believe this in my heart of hearts, that if I had given birth when I gave birth, when I was just starting to head back into bad pain and numbness and burning again, had I given birth to a typical neurodevelopmental, typical child, I would not have found this therapy, very likely. It's possible, but probably wouldn't have. And I would guess that I would be back in a wheelchair right now. No, that is absolutely the direction it was going. It was repeating the same pattern as when I was young. And now I'm 10,000 times better.
Actually,
and no pain.
Our clients are quite surprised.
Yeah, very surprised.
Anyway, you'll see. Yeah. You'll see when we meet us. We can show off if we need to.
We can back tuck, double sow cow. I don't know why I always say double sow cow. I have no idea how to double sow cow.
One of our teachers is on watching us, Neil. Neil, we have so much to thank you.
Yeah. Neil was my mentor, and I love him. And yeah, it wasn't an easy learn, guys. It's for me because it was a tough injury, but
it's
if
totally,
I can do it,
totally feasible and
totally doable. So questions, queries, thoughts. www.movetherapies, P-I-E-S, movetherapies.com. Visit it. Check it out. Share this video with anybody. I know it's long, but it's pretty potent. It changed our lives.
2 thumbs up. 2 thumbs up.
Oh, is there thumbs up they can do? Thumbs up. I don't know. Likes. Look at. We don't even know. Please, share whatever it is you're supposed to do. That's it. That's all. It's Friday. Have a great weekend and.
Have a good one. Bye, all.